here at the bridge, in the studio, our marvellous guest who's doing whispering to his partner Suez across the studio. I don't miss a thing, you know. He's John Cook, and welcome back, John. John, you've been doing readings there. People work in many different ways.
That's right, yes.
I mean, what is your preferred way of working?
Well, my preferred way of working is spiritually, whereas by somebody comes through from spirit, they normally, I don't know why they do this actually, and I say this to everybody, they normally give me conditions, how they passed or what they suffered with, and it might be because I don't like it, and they've got a great sense of humour, the spirit world, so when they come through and they do this, because they know I'm tickle-stomached, and so they'll show me anatomy and things like that because they know that I hate it.
Yeah.
And so they're having a joke with me straight away, and so people who think that because you've passed over into the spirit world it's all going to be sort of miserable, it's the opposite. Everybody who comes through from spirit always seems to have a sense of humour, they always seem to be cheerful, so
it's not doom and gloom.
It's not doom and gloom at all.
Yes, that's the way I think people think about it. It's all sort of, I mean, I do refer back to it. It's like going back to the 1940s, 50s black and white movies.
Yeah.
And it's all like, it's always stormy, and always the shutters are always crashing on the things, and the rain's coming down, and they have a séance that night, and not instead of just doing it on a nice sunny afternoon sitting outside.
That's right, and I've done it on a sunny afternoon sitting outside as well. I prefer it actually.
It's much better, is it? Much better. I mean, but thanks for letting me. Do I use the word practice, demonstrate? What terminology do I use?
I like the word demonstrate. I think that you're at that point now.
I am looking forward to it because
very well.
we are going up to the Psychic Rendezvous
yes,
in March
next year. That's right. We're going to really have a good time.
And I think they're going to drop me in it.
Good.
Probably.
Well, yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, I must admit. I mean, I do like the challenge.
You've got to like the challenge because it pushes you. It's how you develop. If you don't get challenged, you won't ever go further. So it's the way to do it. And by the way, we'll be at the Psychic Rendezvous as well, so it should be fun.
Oh,
it
right.
will. But you've got to be passionate about it, and you do come over, Ken, very passionate about it now because you get quite excited, and when you get it right, we can see that you're really pleased, and you like the feedback from others. So
believe it or not, I get freaky about it.
Yeah, but you've got to have something that it's no good as if it's all right, something to do. It's no good having that attitude around it. You've got to be buzzing,
never do that.
and it's got to be your passion, and that's when you'll work at your best.
It's like at a job. I couldn't have a job where it's just like you go in. I have to want to be there.
That's right.
What's the point of going in?
You've got to have a driving force.
Driving force. And producer Jane, who's just shot off into Studio 2 there. A couple of weeks ago, I mean, I hit on a name, James, I believe, for somebody in Spain who'd phoned in.
Yes,
you were doing a reading. Do you remember that? You were doing a reading.
I do.
And I stopped her and spoke to her, and I said, well, "What does James mean to you?" And as John can see here, I have no involvement in doing readings on the air. I just present. I have a bank of screens in front of me, and I tried laughingly, as producer Jane says, trying holding the show together. But I just got this name James and something to do with mechanics, etc. And I put it to her, and James was her mechanic in Spain.
Amazing, isn't it? So you can't, you cannot make stuff like that up. That's proof.
But it freaked me.
I mean, you could have a one-off, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You think, oh, that's a coincidence that I've said that. But when it's time after time after time, and every reading you do, you get stuff like that, then there is no way I could know it without communicating from another source,
With John here, we never had much conversation when you came in, did we?
No, not at all.
Because basically I'm running from one place to another as I'm doing this. You've seen me, haven't you?
Yeah.
I always feel as though I'm being rude when we have guests in, because I never speak to them just before going on air.
No.
Because I'm trying to get the show together. But I prefer it that way if I'm doing a demonstration with Mike Davis.
Well,
because
you're not proving anything otherwise. Because I think if you've got the information beforehand, all that's going to do is contribute to your self-doubt.
Yeah.
So you're better off not knowing anything at all, and then what you come up with when it's right, you know that you've got it from source, if you like. So that is the best way to be. And I often think, people say to me, well, how do you do readings on the phone? I don't understand how you can do a reading when you haven't got that person actually with you. And I say, well, you've got the voice energy, and sometimes it's easier to do it on the phone because there's no way you could be possibly reading anybody's body language. You can't look at the way that they're dressed to see, perhaps, that may intimate what job that they've got or what position. And we all do it. We all look at people and make our minds up about them straight away, within 10 seconds. We form judgments. You've got none of that when you're on the phone. So sometimes, it's easier, I think, very often not to actually, you can't see the person that you're doing the reading for, because for your own inner proof, that you're not reading body language or looking at somebody's facial expression to see if you've got something right or wrong.
Yeah.
So it's always very good at remembering that as well.
I find, I don't even know, I mean, I don't know, we've all got our little quirks, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
I take my glasses off.
Yes,
I don't know why.
We said about that because I think it's because you're focusing on your clairvoyant vision, not your physical vision, and I think you just do that without realising what you're doing. It's kind of like an automatic thing.
Automatic thing for
your
me to do.
Your intuition tells you to do that. So
Takes
I always say, whenever you're watching anybody doing a reading, any psychic, any medium, always watch what their hands are doing. Because obviously, when you do, their hands are talking sometimes before they're actually speaking.
Right.
So if you watch what they're doing, often, or even when you're watching somebody on the TV, they'll often hold a part of their body or rub their leg or put the hand on the chest or the head. And that's because they've got a connection with somebody, and that could be the way that they've crossed over, or they had a head injury, or they had a heart attack, or they've got mobility issues in life. And often they'll be doing that sort of clairsentience, what we call it, before they've actually spoken the words. Or they might be holding their hand up above their head, which would be, somebody older than myself, or putting their hand down lower, which could be a lower generation to myself. It's just to work with like age groups of people, so you'd know what age you were at. And like we said, on the left, if somebody's on the left, if somebody's on the right, left would be mother's side, right father's side, and then we said, somebody behind you, and your hands will very often be pointing in that direction. So always watch what a medium's hands
I'd never
is
thought
doing.
about that. Are you
Very, very much so, yes. When I'm working, my hands are all over the place, and it is part of the reading. And sometimes I've actually, as a medium, you have to be aware of where your hands go yourself, because sometimes, and I've said this to a lot of people in the class, they start wringing their hands or they do things that they don't normally do, and it's very often a characteristic of the person that actually is coming through from spirit, or it might even be the person that are reading something they're doing, something that they normally do. They start picking up the characteristics of the person they're reading, or the person that's coming through, and so sometimes that's part of your reading. And also, if you're reading somebody and you get feelings and thoughts that you don't normally get, you have to use all that as well. Even when you're nervous sometimes, and then you think, well, I'm not normally this nervous, but it could be that the person you're reading's nervous, and you pick that kind of thing up as well, so you have to use that as part of your reading.
I suppose it's observation all the time.
Observation all the while, very much like what
have you ever noticed
yes, it's my job, isn't it? Observation is my job, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes when a medium starts to connect, a lot of mediums start rubbing their hands together. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I do that.
102.5 The Bridge.
And we really have sort of ignored them. Well, haven't ignored them, have we?
We just dropped them in at the deep end.
We dropped them at the deep end. They did come in, and then Beth said, actually, you're part of this show now, and that was it. And they were sort of dropped straight in with Mike Davis in Bridgend, and myself doing my psychic development. And John,
yes,
I'd like to welcome you to the bridge properly at last.
Hello, it's lovely to be back here at the bridge, and fantastic atmosphere in this studio as always.
We try to have fun.
You do.
There's no good taking it serious, is there?
No. Well, you could try, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And you brought your young lady with your Sue with you.
I have, yes.
Hello there.
Hi.
You all right?
I'm fine, thank you.
You sat there very quietly through that experiment, didn't you?
Always.
That's not true.
That's what I thought. No, that can't be true. That can't be true. John, we were, we haven't really discussed what I said. I mean, you started and I said, stop. I'd rather do this on air.
Yeah.
This person who came through to me.
Yeah.
Eric was his name, which surprised me. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, it was the man that was in my mind when you started giving me the reading, because he's my late wife's dad, and he not just was my father-in-law, he was also what you could class at that time as my best friend. And I felt him close, and the size was exactly right. He was quite a big guy, he was larger than life, and the bit when you was talking about Dutch, the only thing I got with him was A, he liked to travel, and B, he always liked to point, and it was going on my mind was Dutch courage.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
That's a way of putting it, Dutch courage. I don't know why the foreign link came through.
No.
It was Dutch came through immediately, a German link.
But he was in the Navy during the war, so...
There could be some kind of connection along that.
Connection there, yeah.
Like Uncle Albert.
Yeah.
He was in the Navy.
Yeah,
Hopefully he was more successful than Uncle Albert was.
Well, yeah, hope so.
Hopefully.
You made me think of that episode when they fed him Bob Martins.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to go down this road. Really? What episode where they fed him Bob Martins, Beth?
When he ended up in hospital and they got the dog. They were looking after the dog for Boise and Marlene. They were looking after that, and they mixed up the dog's vitamin tablet. No, Uncle Albert's vitamin tablets with the Bob Martins dog tablets, and they've been feeding Uncle Albert the Bob Martins and the dog the vitamin tablets.
I mean, you had to be there, really, didn't you?
Most people have seen that episode of Only Fools and Horses. It's very funny. And he ended up in hospital, and it was really... They'll probably repeat it over Christmas.
They probably will. John.
Yes?
What have you been up to then, since you were last down at the bridge?
Well, since I've been very busy, actually, Ken. I've had loads of people wanting one-to-one readings.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing lots of psychic fairs, weekends. We've been all around the country.
Yeah.
Myself giving readings at the fairs, and Sue has got an online shop, Spiritual Gifts, that we've been selling at the fairs. White Feather Gifts, it's called.
Yep.
And so it's been quite exciting, and it's just been one thing after another, all on the spiritual front. And of course, I still do the development classes. So again, I'm very interested in helping people to develop psychically, and that's another big thing that I do. And I'm looking in the future to do more workshops.
More workshops. You say you're doing these psychic fairs.
Yeah.
Has the number of people increased going to psychic fairs these days, or is it sort of dwindling? I mean, I can't remember the last time I went to a psychic fair. I know I should go to more, shouldn't I?
Yeah, well, this is something what we're going to do next year, because we're going to go off to the Psychic Rendezvous weekend that Ralph Keaton organises in Stoke-on-Trent, and that's how I met John.
All right. So, do you think the public interest is increasing?
I think the public interest does seem to be getting stronger regarding the spiritual world. More people seem aware of it these days, but unfortunately, because the climate at the moment, the financial climate, I think it has an effect on everything, and so maybe sometimes the numbers are down at some fairs, put that up at others, so it's difficult to say, but I do believe that the interest is getting stronger. More people are becoming aware of the spirit world, and they want to know more.
Do you think they've been more open about it?
I think so, yes.
Where beforehand it was a bit of they're mad.
Yeah.
You're mad. You can't believe that. You're mad. Well, that's what the opinion really was. Let's be honest about it. Yeah.
And some people still think I'm mad, but that's not a problem.
Yes.
But that's not always because I'm a medium. That's other things. Maybe.
Yes, it sort of rubs off a bit, doesn't it?
It does a bit, yeah.
So, I mean, do you work with tarot cards or?
I can do, but it's not my normal medium, so to speak.
Oh.
I prefer to work as you just did, more spiritually, where you just see what comes through to you and what's been given to you, as you did just.
What was the significance? I mean, I sort of half spoke to Mike there. I mean, when I do this development with you guys, and perhaps any of you guys can tell me, but the images I always get are on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I was going to talk.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to talk to you about that, because what I've been getting of recent times is if the spirit, and I see the spirit very often by the person I'm giving a reading to, if it appears on their left-hand side, which is what you're talking about, I always feel that person is connected to the mum's side of the family. If they're on the right-hand side, I always feel they're connected to the dad's side.
Right.
And sometimes, like what you just said, they stand directly behind the person, and then I'm a bit flummoxed.
Yes.
But
I always think when they're stood right behind, that they're very close.
Yeah.
That it's somebody that you were very closely connected to on Earth, and that's why they stood right over you. Because sometimes we can bring people through, and they may be on mum's side or dad's side, but you didn't see them that often. You didn't know them that well, although obviously there was a connection
sort of
there.
a distant relative.
Yes.